electric four-wheel drives just don't belong in Australia, and they will never take hold. It's a waste of time.
Imagine this.
Instant power.
It's killer!
Instant torque to all those wheels. Wheels can be driven individually. The ground clearance is going to be somewhat like a skateboard, and running 12-volt lights and other accessories at camp would be effortless for an electric 4x4. With the Tesla Cybertruck and the new EV Hummer by GCM being released this year in Australia, a lot of people are somewhat excited. The Lightning F-150 is already in Australia, not through Ford however, but you can get it. And then there's a handful of other manufacturers who are toying with bringing their EVs to Australia. All that said, an EV 4x4 in Australia just won't work. And here are 10 reasons why. Beginning with the biggest reality check of them all, with an EV vehicle, take it from Perth to Sydney across the Nullarbor and see how you go. If you put that up against, say, a Land Cruiser with 180 litres worth of fuel capacity,
Guys, how are we going for fuel?
guess who will arrive first, and by what margin? Well, here we are, folks. The Land Cruiser will likely arrive 3 to 4 days before the EV would, because the EV is going to have to charge every 500 kilometres. Hang on. No.
What?
It has to charge more often than that. This brings us to reason number 2. Even though you have a 500 kilometre range on your EV, all the manufacturers recommend you don't charge it much higher than 80% because they're worried about heat generating within the batteries. 100% equals 500 kilometres, you now have 80%. That is a significant drop.
Hang on a minute. That means the top 20% you can't use and the bottom 20% you can't use.
When I drove my Troopy from Perth to Sydney, it took me 4 days.
I'm leaving Perth, heading to Sydney.
Most people would do it in 5 at a real push.
Getting closer.
If you have a 500 kilometre range and you're going to charge at 80% because you're constantly driving, you're likely looking at 10 recharges.
Seem to be filling up a lot.
With an EV, if you push it hard, you could do it in 6 to 7 days, but likely going to be more like 8 or 9 days realistically. And that brings me to the third reason. Charging your EV, it takes time. It's not like just pouring diesel or petrol into your tank. And that's providing you have a fast charger. There are 3 levels of charging. Only really level 2 and level 3 matter. In Australia, we use 240 volts. If you charge a vehicle that's 100 kilowatt hours, it's gonna take a long time. Somewhere between 12 to 18 hours from the research I've done. With a fast charger, you can charge very fast, from 15% up to 80%, but that's providing you have a fast charger option. And I'm not sure if there are fast charger options all the way across the Nullarbor. So you have to be selective and plan strategically where you are going to stop. That adds on to the days, and factoring in headwinds and conditions, it's going to impact on the range of the vehicle, no matter if it's an EV or a diesel or petrol. Reason number 4, let's do an Australian bucket list for a four-wheel driver. Let's go to Uluru via the Great Central Road. Yeah, nah, mates, you're not gonna make it. There's 1,100 kilometers in between Leonora and Uluru where there is no charging option. Definitely not a fast charger option. That's for sure. There are many bucket list trips in Australia that you likely can't do with an EV without extreme inconvenience. And that brings me to reason number 5, remote camping in the Australian four-wheel drive community. That's what we like doing. We like to get right out there, explore places that we haven't seen before, and usually they're quite a distance away from any servo where you can get diesel or petrol, but that's okay because we can carry a jerry can.
We've just done a refill.
Although fuel top-ups are few and far in between once you get really remote, but they're the only things that are out there.
This place is super remote.
There's definitely no charging place. With remote camping, there must be a way we can make the EV work though, because an EV is kind of awesome in a way. If you have a blackout at your house, it's said that you can run the house off the vehicle while you wait for the power to come back on. Imagine that at camp. You could run any 12-volt accessory you like and it wouldn't really put a dent in that battery bank at all. But there's a huge problem. How are you getting there? And even if you got there, how are you getting back out? Because you are remote. What if we brought a generator? With a 4 kilowatt compact generator, it's estimated it'll take 30 hours to charge it up, and that will be somewhere like 50 litres of fuel. That's 3 jerry cans. Fall asleep to the hum of the generator. I'm sure you're going to be the hero of the campsite. Wake up and fill it up every time it runs dry. And that got me thinking, what about solar? How much solar would you need to charge an EV vehicle up from 20% up to 80%, or even just all the way to 100? Stuff it, why not? Taking a Cybertruck as an example, 123 kilowatt hour battery, if the panels are 48 volts and they're 300 watt panels each, and the skies are clear, and they're running at full capacity, which they won't be, you would need 49 panels. 49 freaking panels. More than what a house has. And that's what you'd need to charge it within 8 hours. It's stupendous. Reason number 6. Almost 1 million people within Australia own either a caravan or a camp trailer of some sort. So let's make this a bit more fun and put a big caravan behind it. Power and torque will be instant. It will tow so well. However, when you run out of power, what good is that? And I wouldn't bother visiting South Australia, Northern Territory, northern part of Queensland, or Western Australia, because you just wouldn't get anywhere without having to constantly charge.
This isn't very ideal.
Reason 7, durability. I've only really seen like those fancy little advertising videos of the Rivian and a Cybertruck kicking up dirt and doing cool stuff, doing tank turn, which is undeniably awesome and cool. But what's the durability really like? What would it be like on corrugations, like harsh, hardcore corrugations like we get in Australia?
Whoa.
And then you got the heat as well.
It got pretty hot there.
With the amount of batteries we're hearing these days catching on fire, and I know they're like cheap, crappy batteries. Imagine what one of those vehicles would endure with that heat and then all the corrugations and the unpredictable environment of dust and water and moisture. People are worried about DPFs starting fires in long grass. I'm pretty sure people are going to be not really convinced with an EV, especially given that no one's proven or tested it in these conditions yet. Reason 8, how do we fix an EV vehicle trackside?
Cuts, please.
It's starting to become a little bit worrying and difficult to fix the modern diesels these days.
It's like an aircraft.
If something goes wrong with the whole computer system, I don't know what to do. Most people wouldn't know what to do. What about an EV? There's not really anything mechanical on it that we're used to. It's all electrical. I don't know what to do. Reason number 9, battery life. Batteries are generally only guaranteed a lifespan of 8 to 10 years. I'm not sure what the warranty will be on them. That'll vary a bit, but I'm sure they wouldn't give you 8 to 10 years. That's the expectancy of the battery life. Every single year you use that battery or that vehicle, it'll drop by 2 to 3%. It'll degrade the battery. Fast forward 5 years, you're starting to not have that good a charge on a vehicle, which means your range is now somewhat diminished, which leads me to number 10, resale value. How would you sell your EV vehicle in 6 years' time? Would you even get anything for it? The battery is a shot. Look, I'm sure technology can catch up and we might have better battery systems by that stage, but currently right now, if you bought one, how would you get your resale value in 10 years' time? They're not cheap either. The EV Hummer, somewhere around $140,000. The Tesla Cybertruck, that's probably at the lower end, that's about 100 grand plus, but the Ford Lightning F-150, $250,000, thank you very much. And let's say the battery is a shot in 10 years' time. It's going to have a big impact because the battery is obviously going to cost a lot.
Help.
I did say 10 reasons, but I also asked my audience, asked you guys, and only 2% of the people that voted would consider getting a full electric vehicle. Only 3% would consider getting a hybrid vehicle. Now, a hybrid vehicle is a complete different story itself.
I don't hate it.
That is something that could work,
I don't hate this function.
but will take some time to really convince everyone that it's a good option. It'd be good to have a hybrid vehicle that's electric and diesel. You kind of got one that's a little bit like that. That's the 48 volt Hilux, but it's not really, it's just assisting the vehicle. It's not really a hybrid. There's no true hybrid yet, in Australia at least, that's half electric and half diesel. That would be cool, but the full electric cars, don't see that being a thing. It seems like a lot of effort to go to. It's also clear that within Australia, we really do favour reputation of a brand. Nissan, Mitsubishi, Toyota, Isuzu, Jeep, something that's been proven. Only 5% said that they would consider anything else, but 65% will only go to a reputable brand that they trust and know. And about 29% are kind of in between. They would consider it, but they would prefer a reputable brand.
It's okay, I still love you.
If an EV comes in, it'll have to be like a top tier brand that's trusted in Australia for people to give it a go as a 4x4 EV. Look, an on-road EV, that's a different story. You're around the city. You haven't bought it to cross from Perth to Sydney.
I think I'm in New South Wales.
And some people have bought it because they're environmentally conscious. And I'm not going to get into that because what's actually charging up an EV vehicle is the power grid. And in Australia, I'm pretty sure our power grid is powered by coal.
2 hours later.
The amount of stuff they have to dig up for lithium. Didn't I just say I wasn't going to go into it? What do you guys think about the whole thing? Would you actually consider a 4x4 EV vehicle within Australia? And then if you are outside Australia and you own a Cybertruck or a Rivian, I'd like to hear from you. How do you think it will go in Australia?